Hi, you guys. It's Yaz, and today I'm going to talk about signs you're dealing with a toxic person. And this is really important because a lot of times we deal with people, it could be our friends, our family, our partner, and we don't recognize that we are dealing with a toxic person. And we sit there and we try to justify ourselves, or we sit there and try to explain ourselves for hours to this person, trying to get them to see our side, and you just never win. I'm sure a lot of people out there feel this way, and they get frustrated. But this is the thing, you guys. The problem is not you. The problem is you're dealing with a toxic person, and you need to recognize these type of people. And I'm going to give you some red flags and signs that the person that you're dealing with, whoever it may be in your life, that this person is a toxic person, okay? So here's the thing. When we're talking about toxic people or toxic relationships, everybody throws out narcissist, and most people know what a narcissist is, right? A narcissist is somebody who does things for their own benefit. Most of the time they have no empathy, and, they love bomb and they treat you really well in the beginning, and then you start to see their real side later on. That's your typical narcissist. But now we're going to talk about, just in general, toxic people. Now, the first sign that you know you're dealing with somebody who is toxic is when that person is giving you that bad feeling, okay? Let's say that you get a text from a friend or a family member or a coworker and you just cringe. There's a reason that you're feeling that way. You're feeling that way because that person could be, in most cases, toxic and causing you some sort of unhappiness. Toxic people are not people that you can reason with. They're not people that you could sit down with and show them the facts and they will see what you are talking about, okay? It's like when people debate in politics. A lot of times you could have your facts in black and white on paper and people just don't want to see it. People only want to see what they want to see. And if you're dealing with somebody who cannot have an open mind, who's very closed mind, that only wants to believe what they want to believe, all right, that is a difficult person to deal with. That is a difficult person to deal with. That could be somebody that you work with. That could be anybody in your life, you guys. And you have to recognize it, and you have to know when to walk away. You don't sit there, you don't try to plea your case because you're not going to win. It's like trying to fight a narcissist. You can't win with a narcissist because a narcissist will not open their mind up to you. A narcissist won't take any kind of accountability for being wrong. So it's a no-win situation. So how do we deal with toxic people? We don't deal with them. If they can't sit down and talk to us and be able to reason with us, then we don't engage. You disengage from somebody who is toxic, okay? The reason that you disengaged is for a couple of reasons. Because number one, you don't want to get yourself aggravated. And once you get upset, it's gonna cause a lot of stress, and all of this stress could affect your health, okay? And what do I always tell you? You have to take care of yourself first. You have to respect yourself, because if you don't respect yourself, nobody else is going to respect you. If you sit there and beg somebody to understand what you're trying to tell them, you are losing your power. Now, I'm not saying that you don't try to communicate. You can try to communicate your point, But when you see that you're hitting a roadblock and that this person is unbendable and you know what you're talking about, you have the facts to back up what you're saying, then that's a no-win situation, and you got to recognize that. And you have to say to yourself, I am dealing with somebody who is toxic, and I am not going to engage. And if they can't open their mind up to see what I'm saying here, then there's no point. There's no point. There's no point in arguing something with somebody who just doesn't want to see, okay? Like that saying goes, there's people that are blind that just don't want to open their eyes. You know, when I talk about narcissists as well, you got to understand something about narcissists. Narcissists, a lot of times narcissists never had that love as a child growing up. All right. Maybe they were always looking to be praised by their parents, and maybe they grew up in a household where their parents were very cold or their parents stonewalled them. This is what they learned. Their parents could have been narcissist. So they felt like they never had control. And when I talk about narcissism, the reason that the thing that these people want, the biggest thing that they want besides praise, is they want control. Growing up, they may not have had that control in their childhood. So they felt a little out of control growing up. And now, as they got older, they have this need for control. Okay? So that's where it's all coming from. That's how these people get molded into who they are. They have a hard time recognizing someone else's feelings because they're all about themselves, because they're very selfish people. So what do I always tell you guys? I tell you, look for somebody who's kind and understanding. That, you guys, that is the key. You want a great relationship with somebody? Find somebody who's kind and understanding, who will listen to you, who goes out of their way to help you if you had a problem. For instance, if you were sick, they'll run to the store and get your medicine. They don't mind going that extra mile. And you see, when you're dealing with narcissists and toxic people, when the reason that these people are so, deceptive is because a lot of times you look at them and they have times where they could be very nice and very charming. And then you see this other side of them and you just don't get it. You don't get it. And the reason is these type of people, these toxic people or these narcissists, the reason that they're so nice is because of some kind of benefit they are going to get from you. Okay? It could be praise. They want to do something nice so they could have one up on you that they did something nice for you. It's to make them feel like they're superior, they're better. Or they could be doing something like, love bombing you just to know that they could get you. And then once they get you, they discard you because the chase is gone. They got you. They weren't really doing it because they wanted a loving relationship. They were doing it to say to themselves, it was an ego boost. Okay? That's another thing. When we're dealing with toxic people and everything, these people have very low self-esteem. So they're going to put you down. They're going to criticize you. They're going to judge you. If you're dealing with somebody who's always judging you, or they give you an underhanded compliment, boom, red flag. You're dealing with a toxic person. Recognize it. Recognize it. Recognize it, you guys. Because, in my past, I've dealt with somebody, or I've dealt with a lot of people that are very narcissistic and toxic. But at the time, I wasn't aware that I was dealing with a toxic person. So I would sit there And I would try to either, plead my case for hours and try to explain myself, or I'd get emotional and everything. And I was getting nowhere with these people. And I wasn't realizing that I was dealing with a toxic person. And these type of toxic people, like I told you in prior podcasts, they will flip it. They will flip it on you. This is classic. They will flip it on you, and everything is your fault for something going wrong. Because the other thing is, they can't admit that they're wrong. All right? These people are a shell of a person. You need to recognize it. You need to understand that they have very low self-esteem. The reason they do all these things is because they're trying to build their self-esteem. And you need to be aware of that. And you need to not deal with that, okay? Somebody who is toxic is always going to tell you you're wrong, okay? Someone who's toxic is never going to be able to be transparent, all right? These people are not transparent. They will gaslight you. They will tell you, I don't know what you're talking about. They will tell you, I don't know why you're so mad, okay? They will do everything. They will tell you you're crazy. They will tell you that, your mental state is off. They will tell you anything just to flip it on you and make themselves look better. They will never, ever look at what you're saying and say to themselves, yeah, you're right. You made a point about that. Because the best way to fight somebody who is toxic or narcissistic is to call them out on it, okay? They can't stand to be called out on anything. And when you call them out on it, that's when they're going to come back at you in a very attacking way, all right? There's a couple of ways they come back at you. They either flip the blame on you, call you crazy, or, all these gaslight you, I don't know what you're talking about, or you're too sensitive. How many times have people heard that? You're too sensitive. Well, if I'm sensitive, there's a reason why I'm sensitive, because maybe you did something wrong and you're not acknowledging that. Hello? Yeah, okay. But see, they'll never give you credit. They will never give you credit, because to give you credit is to admit defeat, and that is something they will never do. All right? But one thing you have to remember, that's their problem. That's not your problem, okay? Just because they're damaged doesn't mean that you have to be the target. Doesn't mean that you have to take that kind of abuse. People can only hurt you if you let them. You are in total control of who you let in your world and who you don't. And it all comes back to respect. All right. I talk about this in like every podcast, but it is so crucial, you guys. You've got to have respect for yourself. And people that are around you, the relationships that you have with people, these people need to respect you as well. Okay? Because if they don't respect you, they can't love you. All right? People don't love someone that they don't respect. So in order to get that respect, you have to show them that you love yourself and that you're not going to take treatment or behavior that is not subpar to what you deserve. Okay? Another thing you have to, the best thing you can do is to acquire knowledge on narcissism and on toxic behaviors. The more knowledge that you have on this, the more powerful you become, okay? And that saying that says, the minute you know your power is the minute they fear you, okay? Because now they know that they can't play their games with you. Now they know that you are not going to sit there and tolerate it. You're not going to sit there and second guess yourself. No, this is what I'm telling you. I know what I'm talking about. These are the facts, okay? You're not going to switch it up. This is red. This is not green. This is red, okay? You call them out on it. And if they can't, if they can't acknowledge it, then you walk away from the conversation. You walk away. You don't sit there. You don't beg. You don't plea. You don't chase anybody. Because anytime you do these things, you're losing your power. You're making them more important by trying to argue it. No. If you have the facts behind you and you know what you're talking about and you're telling somebody that this is the situation and they can't see it or they don't want to see it or they are just gaslighting you, you disengage. You disengage from toxic people. Toxic people will never give you a warm and happy feeling all the time. They will never be consistent. And, the thing is, you have to be aware of this and you have to understand, this is what another reason too, I tell you all the time, when you're dating or getting to know somebody, you have to move cautiously in the beginning. I can't tell you enough how many people put on the mask. They have the mask on in the beginning. And people just take them for face value and say, they're so nice. They call me all the time. They're always asking how I am. They tell me how much they love me. They're telling me all these plans they want to have, and they can't believe they met such a beautiful woman like me and everything like that. And the first thing I say is, how long do you know them? I know them 5 weeks. 5 weeks, huh? Well, let me know if it's still the same after a year, okay? Let me know if it's still the same after 6 months. Because the longer you go out with somebody, the more the mask comes off and the more you see them for who they are. Because these people are actors. And, when somebody is putting on a front, they can't do it forever. Believe me when I tell you, they can't do it forever. Eventually, the true person starts to come out, okay? So when we're getting into talking about toxic people and signs of toxic people, you have to understand, somebody who is toxic is somebody who is unreasonable. If you find you're in a situation with somebody who's unreasonable, that you can't talk to, that flips the blame on you, that gaslights you, that stonewalls you, that walks out on you in the middle of a conversation, or you have an argument with them and they won't talk to you for like a week or 2 weeks, you are dealing with a toxic person. Period, end of story. Because this is all forms of emotional abuse. These are not people that are looking to sit down, try to work it out with you and reason with you. These are people that want to pay you back, okay? They want to pay you back because you're not agreeing with what they say, or you're not going along with what they want. So when you see somebody is trying to pay you back with these different kind of tactics that I talk about, the gaslighting, the stonewalling, the manipulation, then you know you're dealing with a toxic person. Another thing that these people do that you have to be aware of, you guys, and this is classic narcissism, is when they find that, they hit a wall with you and you're holding strong, what these people do is they go to other people to disparage you, okay, and put you down in other people's eyes. They go to, let's say you're dealing with a family member. They'll go to other family members and put you down because these other people who are the enablers are what we call the flying monkeys. They're what, build up the narcissist and tell the narcissist, no, you're right, it's them. And the narcissist paints a picture to these people how you are wrong and, putting you down and disparaging you. And they have these flying monkeys or these enablers that sit there and give them power in justifying the narcissist actions, okay? So you got to remember that. That's why a lot of times people on Facebook, okay? Like for instance, I hear this a lot. Somebody could have a narcissistic partner, right? And you may get in an argument with that person. What's the first thing that person does, okay? Now this isn't everybody, but this happens a lot to people. They go on Facebook and they start posting comments, putting down their partner, making little comments. This happened to one of my friends. She was going out with a narcissist. She ended up having a big fight with him. And what does he do? He went on Facebook and starts posting on his Facebook, putting her down, making up lies, and had all his friends and family on the Facebook post telling him, oh, that's terrible. Why do you put up with her? All these different things, because this is a way they want to pay you back, okay? They use outside people to try to pay you back. These are toxic, dangerous people. When I say dangerous, I just mean like they're dangerous to your mental health, because these people are going to break you down if you let them emotionally. And that's why you don't engage with toxic. You don't show them a reaction, because that's what they want. They want that power. They want to break you down. They want to see you cry. They want to see you blow up their phone, texting them saying, what's wrong? Why are you mad at me? Showing that you care, and you need their validation. No, you don't need their validation, okay? You sat there, you tried to talk to them, you explained yourself in a very, kind and understanding way, and they won't accept it. So you stepped back. And you didn't give them the reaction that they wanted, where you got all emotional, where you got all upset. See, they like that. They like to see you get upset, because when they see you get upset, then they know you care. Then they know that they have that control over you, that if they get you upset, that you must really care about them. And that gives them more control and power in knowing that they got you. All right? Never let anybody think that they have you completely and have complete control over you. You have complete control over yourself. That's why I tell you guys, you got to build yourself up. You got to build yourself up physically. You got to build yourself up mentally. All right. And you got to build yourself up, financially, so that you could stand independently and that you don't have to be a prisoner to these toxic people. All right. A lot of people are in relationships. I was dealing with a woman who came to me and, she told me that her partner punched her straight in the face and then he blamed it on her. Okay. And she's in a situation where she has kids and she's financially not able to leave him. And this is a situation that you never, ever want to put yourself in. But you should not be in a situation like that, because that situation could turn deadly one day. Because I told you, it starts out with a criticism. It starts out with them calling you different kinds of names, using profanity. Then the next step is a push. Then the next step is a punch or a pinch, and then the next step could turn deadly. And it has in a lot of cases. Just watch these murder mysteries and you'll see what I'm talking about. If you find that you're in a very dangerous kind of situation, you have to call the domestic abuse hotline. You need a support system. And that's another thing too, you guys, I want to bring up about these toxic people. Toxic people want to isolate you. They don't want you to have outside support. Like, in other words, they don't want you to have a lot of friends. They don't want you to have support from family. They don't want you to be independent. They want you to be dependent on them. So, when you start to have all this other support, it's a threat to them, okay? Because now they know that you could walk away very easily. So understand, if you're feeling a certain way with somebody who's in your circle, whether it's your friends, you could have toxic friends, you could have toxic family, you could have toxic coworkers, you could have a toxic partner. If this person is causing you more unhappiness than happiness, if this person is giving you knots in your stomach, then you are dealing with a toxic person. Recognize it. Recognize that the problem is not you. Recognize that the problem is them, and don't feed into it, okay? Don't feed into the bullshit. You step back and you walk away if you have to walk away. I hope that helps you. If it did, please hit the subscribe button and share, and have a great day. Hi, you guys. I just want to make you aware that the Game Exposed podcast now has their merchandise available. You can check out the link in the podcast description. There's hoodies, there's sweatpants, there's t-shirts, there's cool hats. So go check it out. Link is in the podcast description. And follow Yaz on Instagram at dating_advice_Yaz. Hi, you guys, it's Yaz. I want to tell you about my 2 books that are on Amazon, okay? You can download them free with the trial membership from Kindle. The first book is Regain Your Power. If you're in a relationship and you feel like your partner has all the control in the relationship, maybe you're walking around on eggshells, you're afraid to approach them, it's going to tell you how to regain your power and be happy in the relationship, okay? And what you may be doing wrong, and that's why your partner has all the control in the relationship. The other book is Signs He's Not Into You, He's Wasting Your Time. There's a lot of people that are dating someone or in a relationship with somebody who's not really vested in the relationship. And we often are confused as to whether our partner really likes us or is into us or wants a future with us. And this book is going to give you signs and red flags of whether your partner is into you or he's just basically drifting and wasting your time. So go to Amazon and download the Kindle free trial membership. Doesn't cost you anything. And check it out. It may help you. Okay? And have a great day.